The Mitsubishi Seria has always been a dream car of mine, but the adult me just found out that it was very underpowered and sluggish, but not anymore. This is a turbocharged Mitsubishi Seria built by Race Concepts, and it now makes 400 horsepower. Unfortunately, the Seria didn't come with the 4G63T engine from the factory. But what it did get was a pretty solid engine regardless. Open up the hood and you find the 4G94 engine. It's a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine from the factory, and it's a pretty solid engine. You get a cast iron engine block, forged steel connecting rods, you get an aluminium single overhead cam, you get multiple port injection, and in total 16 valves as well. But even with all of that good stuff, it only made 123 horsepower and a little bit over 170 Newton meters of torque. Not very impressive. But as you can see, Race Concepts has completely changed that. And who better to explain this insane build than Joel Joseph himself. So we now have Joel himself and his insane creation. This is some insane engineering that you guys have done. So please tell us more about what this thing exactly is and what you guys have done to it.
This is a 4G94 SOHC engine. It's a very underrated power plant. Unlike the other great Mitsubishi engines that the world saw, this is one of the lousiest of the lot, and unfortunately this is the only thing that we got in India. So to start with, to take this 115 horsepower engine package all the way past 400, we had to work a lot on the engine side. So the engine has been fully forged. It runs custom medium low spec compression. It's not very low, it's not very high. It's like an 8.8:1 compression ratio. It's got rods, forged rods, and then I built the cylinder head to stage 4 spec. Stage 4, I mean, I don't really would like to call it in any stage forms, but then considering the amount of work that we've done on the combustion chamber, the ports, and a whole lot to enhance flow is why we call it so, and also for better understanding. So the entire bolts and everything inside the engine has been operated except the cylinder head bolts. They're still stock. Now that's the limit where we're not pushing it past 400, because that's going to be a point where if we push a lot more, then we could have a point of head lift. Beyond that is the the custom exhaust system that we've developed, which is the header mated to a Garrett G series turbo. And it's got a full induction system sitting on through a front mounted intercooler, and then comes all the way back into a aluminum intake manifold that we've designed. So the whole idea of the cylinder head and the intake manifold combo is to push the power band. Anyone who's driven a Seria, they know that after 5000 RPM, it's almost like a diesel. It has no power. It's got a lot of low end torque and a mid range, and then it just completely dies off. So we wanted to take the power band exactly to where the red line is now, which is at 7000 RPM. So we wanted to have a higher power band. So we've got a larger volume plenum, and the throttle body is still the standard Seria, and we've made revisions to the idle calibration, etc. And then there's a filter that's drawing the cold air into the turbo, and a whole bunch of things have been changed. Other than that, the engine mounts and all of that is still stock. On the transmission side, we have a stage 4 clutch and a lightened flywheel, which is our bespoke part, and we have our custom close ratio gearbox. It runs a shorter final drive. It has a first second gear combo, so you can launch better with a taller first gear, so it results in more road speed in first gear, and then from second, third onwards it pulls hard, so that way you get seamless acceleration all the way to its top speed. And the car is shod on with coilovers, and it has a strut bar to give it better handling and agility. It's a fully adjustable damper. It's got our improvised brakes, slotted rotors and pads and lines and all of that. The car is sitting on 16-inch wheels, and it's got Race Dynamics R200 ECU, which we've wired in and programmed, and the whole tune and everything has been set up, and it runs a mechanical wastegate. We didn't want to go fancy on the stuff. The car is actually built to keep it very practical, simple, with minimalistic functional changes. So the car has an external wastegate which can be controlled with a few clicks on the manual boost controller, and it's relatively very simple. The car was built in early 2023, and the car's been put to good use for close to 2 years now, done over maybe 7,000-8,000 kilometers. And I personally drove the car 2100 kilometers up and down to the generation speed on a 9 psi tune, which is about 265 wheel horsepower. So it's a very, very involving, intoxicating build.
So I'm now driving the Turbo CDI, and Joel is right there beside me because I'm not too sure of the track or anything. And this track has been designed by Joel himself, so pretty crazy. Like literally all of his creations are there in one place, I guess now. So this is the kind of stuff that, inspires a lot of young people to get into cars and stuff. Yeah. But this thing is insane. Struggling for grip throughout almost full third. I mean, if I was 11 years old and if I knew I was driving this today, I would be so happy. And the gear shifts are super crisp. And its sound, the best part is the sound. I mean, power and everything, the experience of just driving it is so good. Manual, so heel and toe, blipping and everything is just too much fun. No automatic car with those stupid paddles can ever replicate that. So this is genuinely like something that I would build if I have the money in the future, of course. And well, you guys know where to come for if you want to build something like this. Insane. Good stuff, man.
Right now the car is on the same 910 psi tune, which is for running with the XP95. So we can turn it up. It'll go all the way up to the XP100 tune.
Right.
So it is, like I said, very flexible. It can take all levels of boost, and we've got 3 to 4 boost settings that we've finalized, and works very well depending on the fuel grade. So we have one for XP95, one for 97, 99 grade, and then you're full tilt with XP100. And then we can still go more. Like I said, the limit is the cylinder head bolts. So we just kept it that way, because I think it's also a good way to just retain overall reliability, because you don't want other things like your drive shafts and all other things, because they're all still OEM. It's all still Mitsubishi's engineering for a 120 horsepower package. So it's not an Evo underpinnings, right? It's still fairly small and decently reliable. So we don't want to break the code.
Correct. But I know you're saying all of this, but on the way here we had a quick conversation. So if you just put ARP bolts onto this engine, you were saying that this thing has the capability to go to like 500, maybe even more.
Yeah. So the engine, see, we can clearly turn the wick up all the way. See, if push comes to shove, if we really need to, let's say, transform this into a drag engine, and we need to run massive turbo, and we want to really push, I'm very confident that we can hit about 700, 800 wheel horsepower. That's when it comes to really pedal to the metal engineering, because we still haven't touched the cams. The cams are still stock.
Right.
The valve size is still stock. The valve train is still stock. So there's a whole bunch that we can do on the cylinder head. So this was a good exercise for us to, like to try and understand. Hey, one second. Appdi poda. Yarani.
So yeah, I think so. Basically, you guys have a lot of more bandwidth if you really wanted to push it.
Absolutely.
But I think this is the sweet spot, like in terms of you can drive it daily, you can use it on the weekends, or you can push it hard basically.
Yes. So the 4G94 engine is considered the most stupid Mitsubishi motor. You ask anyone who's dealt with these engines in the past, I think the most disowned engine of the Mitsubishi lot. I think they didn't give it any love, support, nothing. They just built something to just go from point A to point B and nothing else, So it absolutely has no straightforward potential. There's a lot that has to be done to make it. So now if someone takes my word seriously and thinks that they can build a CDR to make it really fast and they can do wonders with it, then it might be a little wrong, because there's a lot that we've done, because I've spent nearly 10-12 years with CDRs now, trying out different combinations in naturally aspirated trim. So there was a time when people were throwing all kinds of money at it, and then they were, I think, having a lot of reliability issues, and still they were trying to crack 200 horsepower. So when I built the engine in 2019 as a CDR R2 program, I was able to fairly crack it much easier with not so much resources, with handful of parts, and with limited budget. I would say was like peanuts compared to what they did. I figured out that if we do a turbo build, we have done a lot of turbo builds in the past. Like I said, other than this, there are 4 other turbo Hondas, CDRs. I'm sorry. So and they have been running in 250, 280, 260 horsepower trims, all in that 250-ish range, because we didn't want to really push the boundaries. We wanted them to be daily cars, which run on relatively simple gas, not high octane. So this was the first time my friend Suchindra, he said, let's build a CDR the way you want. So that's when I said, okay, then if you tell me to build, then I will do the way I want. So then he said, done, go ahead. So that's when we started the project in 2023. He bought a CDR, and it was a non-Karnataka registered car. Then he bought it, then registered, and then basically he wanted his way, the number to everything. And then we did this whole project. So the car is exactly 2 years now from the time the car was bought to what it is filming today. It's exactly about 2 years, if I remember. And it's been a great journey. It also did a drag event at Room. He did a 14 something pass with not knowing what the launch point was. Hit the limiter quite a bit in first second, and then beat a Mini Cooper S in the process. I mean, on paper also it's the quickest quarter mile time for a CDR. But then that was with all kind of mistakes, you know, like if probably I had to drive the car, it would have been an early 13 run.
Okay.
And I think with a LSD, it still doesn't have an LSD. So with an LSD, it's a early to mid 12-second car quite easily because it's, it's a lovely chassis. I think people didn't really understand the value of these cars back then because it had poor fuel efficiency.
Right.
But then if you appreciated this car for what it was meant to be, with great build quality, it's extremely robust. I know this because we've rallied the CDRs and I can tell you that these are tanks. The car also works like it's on rails.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely chassis, and I think these are cars that people should really build and enjoy because I don't think anybody makes cars like these. This is, in my opinion, a slightly more robust car. I'm a Honda guy, but I think it's clearly more robust than a Civic.
Now the owner of this car and Race Concepts have decided to retain the front wheel drive drivetrain of the CDR. They could have, in theory, put an all-wheel drive system from the Evo, but that's not technically possible because the gearbox of this car is completely different to the one that you find in the 4G63 and the Lancer Evos. But I think so that's where most of the fun is, fighting that torque steer and finding the optimum amount of grip using your right foot. Now I know a lot of people nowadays are raging about stuff like an Octavia 1.8, a VRS 230 and all of those amazing cars, and some of that hype is actually down to us because we have promoted that platform so much. But secretly, if you ask me, I love stuff like this turbocharged CDR. This is what we used to look out for when we were playing stuff like Most Wanted and all of those other crazy games of that era. And this is what made Fast and Furious also so famous in the early 2000s. Stuff like this is what actually really brings the car culture forward, and I'm happy and sad at the same time because Race Concepts is one of the very few garages in India that can actually pull off stuff like this and do it reliably each and every time. And I'm happy because, well, a garage like Race Concepts is actually alive and kicking in India, and I'm sad because it's one of the very few. If I had a lot of money to spare and if I had 3-4 cars already in my garage, trust me, I would definitely build something like this and drive it on the weekends pretty regularly. In that case, give Race Concepts a follow so that they can expand probably their bandwidth of serving much more people in India and doing more builds like this. So give them a follow on Instagram, give us a follow on Instagram, comment down below what you think of this 400 horsepower turbocharged Mitsubishi CDR. This is definitely something 11-year-old Soham would absolutely love. Give us a subscribe on YouTube and I'll catch you in the next one.